Good morning, everyone. Today in SSCC interviews, Cecile Guidote-Alvarez will be joining us, an icon of the theater industry in the Philippines, founder of the Philippine Educational Theater Association, the Philippine Center of the International Theater Institute, and director of the Earth Savers Dreams Ensemble. She has been awarded many times for her outstanding work and was honored as a UNESCO Artist for Peace in 2003. Her profession is now focused, among other global challenges, on climate change and sustainability. And we are here to talk about her and her work. Good morning, Madame Guidote-Alvarez.
Good morning to all the lovely and, handsome youth that I am facing. It's so nice to see the youth so vibrant, smiling, and really looking good. And I'm sure will be great leaders of your country.
Thank you very much. Talking about youth, our first question that we wanted to ask was, at only 16 years old, you were a member of the Polinian Players Guild, and at 18, you directed the award-winning TV series Teenagers, which addressed problems of the youth. What inspired you to take action at such a young age?
I think it was providential. I really intended to become a lawyer. Yeah, that was my focus, thinking that that was the best way to serve the people, to help the oppressed, to work for justice, for those who need assistance to really gain their rights. You see, I'm a war baby, meaning to say I was born in the middle of World War II. And I never saw my father. He was a guerrilla captain who fought during the Japanese occupation. My mother was pregnant and told him, please don't go. But then he said, I have to go and fight when the country is in distress. As a little girl, I was growing up looking for my father. And my mother said, don't cry. Your father died so that you would be born free. So even if I didn't see my father, it was kept in my mind, I have to serve. Freedom was a precious gift. And that's why I thought of being a lawyer. But then something happened on the way to being a lawyer. You know, I was very young. I graduated from high school very young. So I was put first in a convent school. And this school has what you call all kinds of extracurricular activities, singing, drama. So I happened to join the drama club. In the drama club, I did some performance. And by chance, they said it was spectacular for a young girl to be playing an old lady. And one who saw me was a Jesuit priest who was in charge of drama in the university. So he offered me, he was very impressed. He offered me a graduate school program when I was still undergraduate. And I come from a conservative family, or my mother wouldn't allow me. But the priest was brilliant in convincing my mother to allow me. And so I got also into education, and that's where I thought that there must be a very different approach to education that would not just reading or etc., something that would be more dynamic and easy. So the mixture of liberal arts and education got me involved into television, into radio, into the stage. And that's how, instead of getting into law, I started getting into the concept of using the arts as a force for education, that it is a way to allow others who would ordinarily not be capable to enter formal schooling because it's expensive, but they have a right to education.
Do you think we could use as a tool for mass
Yeah.
education in every country?
In every country, there should be a policy of government. And if you really want to fight poverty, you have to provide this right to education, which allows them to have the confidence building, the capacity in order to confront problems and overcome them and be able to live a dignified life. But the special education I'm doing, where I work with persons with disabilities, out of school youth, indigenous youth, happened because doing the graduate school program, we had to have what you call an outreach. I was 16 years old, a little less than 16, going to 16. I was assigned into the orthopedic hospital. I was supposed to do a theater workshop with all of these people. It was shocking for me. They were either on wheelchairs, they were armless, they were on steel braces. And it wasn't just the physical, it was the mental situation they faced. One person I was trying to do the orientation was absolutely pretty, but will not look at you, would have clenched fists, would have her eyes downcast. She was in braces. Finally, we got to connect. And in the workshop that we did using theater, we had a performance, a showcase. She had transformed herself like a butterfly out of a cocoon, speaking loudly, being able to express herself in the context of the drama, and smiling at the curtain call, acknowledging the clap, the applause of the people. So instantly it stayed in my mind how you can possibly impact on transformation, how a meaningful arts education or theater experience can provide a change of attitude, of mindset, of confidence. And that's how I got stuck. At about 18 years old, I was running a television show by myself. So we did the teenagers. This was like a repertory company, just ourselves with young people as a core, writing the story from their own experiences. Poor, trying to hide their parents from classmates. Drugs, it was that time of James Dean. You don't know him, but he was the icon for the rebel without a cause. So we did stories reflecting their own problem, including teenage pregnancy, cheating in school, everything coming from their experience. And we wrote it, we did it by ourselves, no funds. It's a situation where it was full of volunteerism and commitment to a cause. And it grew like a company, like a gang from all different schools, not just the rich schools, but the public schools as well. So I thought to myself, if I had additional training, like abroad, and plan for a national theater movement where it is a policy of government to use culture as an essential ingredient of education, where you can get the students to participate and the school can be made a center of culture to reach out to the community, because the community must be fed, must be given an experience to mirror their problems, their conditions, and to reflect on possible solutions. a shield to fight social ills, to arouse conscience, to have a vision of what you can do to help, to serve. Theater is a social, creative process. You address an audience, you communicate. There is a sense of love, meaning to say you wish to connect in order to share a very important feeling or a very important idea or concept that can better the condition of your community. Nobody should be left aside. That's the word of governments. Everybody included. But is it true? It is so important for the future of the youth that the youth really takes destiny into their hands. Otherwise, look at the ancient old people, the corrupt people, making money, ruining the environment. Super typhoon, super drought, deepening poverty, and war, because there is no real dialogue or understanding. It's not a matter of guns or bullets. That's why our movement is called not by force of arms and missiles, but by the power of arts and media. Every human being has a gold mine in themselves. That's what you dig, not the gold mine that ruins the waters. There's the gold mine in every person, which gives them the capability to confront obstacles and live a dignified life. That's the key of fighting poverty. Education is the key to unlock the gridlock of underdevelopment, of poverty. Theater is the meeting ground of all of the arts. Everything is in it. And you have to train everybody to be creative, to be ingenious, innovative, to be flexible, to be adaptable.
We know that the Philippines went through a lot. It was colonized by Spain, then by the United States, by Japan, and then it was economically dependent by the US. And if I am not mistaken, when colonial power switched from Spanish to American, theater became the place where Filipinos expressed their discontent. You told us earlier that theater had everything, every form of art in its form, but do you think that's the reason why theater and not other forms of art like painting or, I don't know, singing, it was the primary area of opposition of the Philippines?
As I said, theater has all of the arts meeting in whatever you are presenting. And it doesn't have to be in an auditorium with a cushion. It doesn't have to be with red carpet. I created theater space right in our historic fort, where beside where our national hero was imprisoned. Theater has the capacity, storytelling, parable, even Jesus Christ taught in parables. You're able to provide certain symbols and they can discern. Storytelling, that's up to your imagination, can be able to inject or weave in messages.
That was really interesting about talking how the social impact that theater has. So we'd like you to ask this question. So what changes have you witnessed in the Philippines regarding the utilization of theater as a means to combat injustice? And also, what are you most proud of?
When I was young, every role I was taking was in English. But I am glad after my studies, I created PETA as a national theater movement. I said, we have to have theater in our language to reach the people. Yes, we take all of the classics and foreign plays, but we translate it in our language. The poor have the right to the knowledge in all the literature of the world. Also, we must encourage our writers. I started really putting Filipino plays written by Filipinos about the lives of our people, about our problems, about our history, about our indigenous communities, which were submerged during colonization. The rhythm should not just be a copycat of Broadway, but it comes from our 110 indigenous communities with tremendous rhythms, musical instruments that can enrich contemporary expression. This was all submerged. Everything that was the standard of excellence had to be Broadway or West End, Europe or America. Not that we are throwing them away, but we have to have the sense of pride. We have to appreciate our history, our language, our traditions. When there was raging fires, they couldn't do it. It was our indigenous community which knew how to kill the fire. There are so many knowledge in terms of medicine from plants and herbs and trees in the forest. And who is taking them? The foreign pharmaceuticals, instead of our own people getting the credit and getting the money. The perfumes, they get it from our flowers. It is in Paris. It is needed for your identity as well.
Now we would like to talk about SSCC and your contribution to this organization. So international ONGs like SSCC, they seek to build a network of Southern countries to promote cooperation and present a united agenda. Why do you believe that it is important for Southern countries to cooperate between each other through culture to tackle pressing problems such as climate change, peace, poverty, and education?
Yeah, because of our common denominator of a historical experience. We went through colonization, and you know what happens under colonization. It's almost being servile, thinking you are under, below. You don't have a kind of faith that you are co-equal and that what you have in your country is important. So we have to bond together. The colonization gave us or overrun our innate traditions and values, superimposed their paradigm of culture. You were useless if you didn't speak Spanish. You were below them. And yet we had our own before they came. We had our own system of governance. We had our own rules. And that was all what you would call submerged. So we have to rediscover that strength. We have to be able to push. They are the ones called developed, right? They have the money. They had the guns. They have the nuclear power. Look at us now in the Philippines. We have to have our alliances because we're being bullied by China. So we need reinforcement. If we do not have that common thing, even in fighting for climate change, I know my husband was in the forefront to bring together the voices of small island states. From the very beginning, on the first COP, it was the Philippines that brought together leaders for the declaration to protect small island states from climate change. It's not America that's going to be submerged. It is Fiji, all those little islands, including the Philippines, our smaller islands. They're being overrun with sea level rise. And who did all of those? mostly the developed countries with their carbon. We didn't give as much carbon, so we had to fight. They have to give funds for loss and damage. If we are not that many, the G7 will be more powerful. But with Africa, Latin America, Asia streaming, they had to give way to loss and damage. They even haven't paid up yet to what they promised as the Green Fund. You need the force of cooperation, of a common stand, of expressing your voice of righteousness, of human rights. It cannot be said, it cannot be in the speeches of the prime ministers and the presidents. It must be actualized in the local communities that are the ones more victimized by climate catastrophes.
Going back on education, other than your projects, you're a producer host of the multi-awarded radio program, and you have described the radio as a tool for peace and education. But we wanted to ask you, why is this the means of communication of your choice?
You see, it is cheaper, it is more accessible. Like we are so many islands. We have the poorest Wi-Fi all over the world. By radio, we always have all kinds of storms, no electricity, etc. But you have the transistor radio, the battery. It reaches people in the mountain, by the coast. You can have immediate connection. So if you want the most accessible, it is still radio. But television is important. There's nothing like audio, video. But when you have a very critical communication problem, or even about elections, how can you report the cheating? You can even go to a telephone and then go to, or use your cell phone and talk to somebody, and it can be immediately reported. But do you have a TV camera in electoral booth or precinct? When all of a sudden there is an earthquake, you'll have to fly if it is somewhere else with the camera. Now, of course, you have social media, but if you don't have electricity, you can still use the battery. So just for practical reasons, your outreach is faster, wider, broader, more instant.
Following that question, we wanted now to dive into climate change and sustainable development. What do you believe is the most crucial aspect for young people to contribute to and engage with concerning this issue?
You know, this Swedish girl, one statement she did, and I was there when she did it, and it aroused the global movement of the climate strike, right? Greta Thunberg, right? Greta
Yes.
was, I think, also 16 years old when she started. Margaret Mead, a very famous anthropologist, when we were doing the Habitat Forum, was our guest. And she said, one person can make a difference, but you have to have the courage of commitment. You have to utilize it. I did it in my country for a national theater movement. We started the Third World Cultural Movement in the International Theater Institute. I fought for it. I said, why the hell are all these festivals just in America or in Europe? So I said, we're going to have a festival in the Philippines. I was young. I had the courage to go to the mayor and say, hey, you're having the 400th anniversary of our city of Manila. Don't you think we should go, you know, we call it bonga, we should go global, you know? Would you like to host a festival? There's going to be a congress and I can propose it if you will host it, if you are sure. He said, yeah. He thought it was a great idea to project the city. I went to London, attended, I proposed it. Some people said, what? The Philippines? Where is it? Are you sure you can do this? The only countries they knew in 1970 when I proposed it was at the most Japan, China, Indonesia, India. Those were the biggest countries that they could appreciate or know. So it was good. We said, we'll do it in the Philippines. They didn't believe at first. Ellen Stewart said, no, it's good, etc. We did it. They were amazed. It became a cultural movement. It was called Third World Committee, renamed Cultural Identity and Development, and got transformed for 3 functions: social transformation, indigenous heritage, and armed conflict and climate in social transformation. Meaning to say, creativity, or you don't have to have any great funds. Creativity is having ideas, being bold enough to execute that idea, to pursue that idea, to fight for the idea, to be crucified for that idea. You persevere with patience, you'll get it. That's creativity, because you know you're right. I had so many obstacles. I was young. I was a woman. They said, oh, who is this girl? She still has to drink a lot of milk. There were machos. There were people who had, not professional theater yet, but some theater groups. And they said, why does she say this thing? It was hard, but I persevered, and you need partners. I was lucky to have partners. But like with South-South, we did these sustainable development goals. Nobody understood it, but very early on, when I was brought to run our cultural program, government program, I utilized theater for the Millennium Development Goals. It was not yet the sustainable development. I was being criticized by some people. Why? They didn't see the connection of culture and Millennium Development Goals. We had to make them understand. Culture is an essential ingredient for development. As you said, the crisis for this crazy COVID, a collapsing economy, conflicted areas, climate catastrophes. Culture provides you connectivity, gives you a sense of solidarity, commonality, and broadens your citizenship. The South-South gives you the global citizenship. I met Victor because my husband was a senator, and they asked him to be the vice president for advisory committee for the protection of the seas. Victor was still working in London. And then we were working also with climate, with cleanliness, etc. We've worked for a long time and known him a long time. And he coming from Colombia, Latin America, and then we had Kenya. We developed a trilateral, synergized, tricontinental approach. We were standing up for Asia, Colombia for Latin America, and Kenya for Africa. So we continued to build beyond our countries to connect with the regions. It is now a force. I believe the peace army of the UN, they call it the Blue Army, must be paralleled by the Rainbow Army, because it involves artists, teachers, communicators, scientists, sports people, working without guns. Our bullet are our creative expressions, our voices, our creative presentations that will touch the mind and the heart to change attitudes, behavior, provide the bridge for understanding, rapprochement. Enemies can become friends. Why? First, you have to have contrition. When there was the war, there was contrition and there was reparation. The Japanese had to pay damages, okay? Same with Spain. Now, They were the ones who shot our national hero. They have monuments of our national hero, not just in Spain, but even in Mexico. We're friends, but we became friends because first they had to say sorry. Mostly Latin America, because of our Hispanic heritage, we're Christian. If Christ on the cross can forgive a thief who said sorry, we are not perfect. If we do have people or so-called enemies who will say sorry and make reparation or restoration, we can open our minds to bridge kinship again.
Regarding that, because what you just said is very interesting, because it's what our Colombian justice system is based on right now. It's called transitional justice. And it just takes the victim as the protagonist. So my question is regarding with what you just said, do you believe that we can repair the past? We can repair history?
It's not repair. You keep the integrity of history. What is done, like what Shakespeare said, or Lady Macbeth, I think, said it. What is done cannot be undone. But you can't keep the enmity forever. There must be some kind of rapprochement if we are going to build peace. Do we want peace? That's why theater is so important for people to think. What do you want? Do you really want peace? You'll never have peace if you keep on hating and keep on having enemies. If you can turn around your enemies to sincerely regret what they have done and try as much as they can to make reparation. It is not to repair. What is done cannot be undone. Reparation. We have to know what we want. That's what you have to make people begin to appreciate or to be together in a common goal, because you have to have the same mindset or concern. The important thing is, don't destroy life, affirm life. War destroys life. Non-violence, or let's say bridging rapprochement, will affirm life. Look what's happening in the Middle East. Boom, somebody did this. Boom, another one. It is going to be endless, unless that's why there is a call, ceasefire, dialogue, find out what can be agreed upon, arranged to mitigate, to pacify, to calm, to try to, well, you said restore. Okay, restore, try to. What is broken, but you can do something. You change it, you amend it, or whatever. But we have to know what we want. Do we want immediately to continue with climate disasters? Then we have to sacrifice, stop the dirty coal. I mean, we have to know what the problem is. You must appreciate the problem. Do you want to remain in the problem, or do you want to get out of it? Then you find the solutions and you work out, motivate the people to the agenda of act. And that's what theater can do, or all the arts with technology synergize can do, to reach every citizen, to be involved, to be engaged, to be together in wanting peace, environmental protection. I mean, not destroy the womb of life. We're all gonna die. It's a bomb. The global warming is a bomb. We have to diffuse it, or you let it explode and let us all disappear. Have to convince people what is right.
Of course. So, well, so we had this very interesting dialogue throughout, well, this time. So I would like to thank you of all the great information that you have gave us about culture, about theater, and how it can change life, and also how cooperation between countries from the global south can shape the future. So it's very important, everything that you just have said. So thank you very much, Cecile, for this interview. It's been wonderful talking to you.
It
And
was wonderful talking to you also.
thank you very much.
I hope I still live maybe about 3 or 4 years to see you very active in leading your communities towards peace and climate action to save mankind and Mother Earth from extinction.
No, I'm sure
Okay.
you will.